I met Jack again when I first started this array of events. And you are not only just speaking at Hong Kong for my event, you spoke at Shanghai, Singapore, Hong Kong, and where else? Yeah. Beijing, I think.
I suppose quite a few places, but I love Hong Kong, so, so I'm glad to be here today. Yes.
So me and Jack based in Hong Kong, and I started this whole thing in Hong Kong as well. So Jack, I understand that you spent vast amount of your career on legal technology, I would say, or investigation technology, and now you dedicate a lot of your time in the last couple of years, or so actually the last 5 years, on data analytics and how to um, find fraud or examining fraud using data analytics. Can you just walk us through a little bit on that front?
Right. So I started my career in using data in the audit process. So helping look at the financial statements and started to find a passion in that and realized that my counselor at the time, my mentor at the time, decided that I should. It's one of the unique traits that I have. So I should focus on forensic data analytics. So I started to think about, okay, what was the difference between just general data analytics versus forensics. So we started to think what different techniques, whereas in maybe an audit, it was explained to me that it's more through a work program and just going through the steps and making sure we check all the numbers. But in the forensics world, I found that there's no predefined work program. So you sort of like see the situation and see what happens. So I still remember one of the very first times that I encountered forensics. The difference is when I actually walked into the field, try to look at some numbers, and one of the suspects that the IT administrator at the time decided that they won't give me any data because there was a fire allegedly, and then the data was lost, and I remember thinking about that, and then my manager and senior manager at the time told me that they're lying to you. So to prove that they lost the data, we need to go look at the event logs to see if they actually did call the fire service, fire stations, and any of those events to prove that there was a fire. So from that point onwards, I realized that it's the forensic world is quite interesting and very exciting. So that's how I got into it, Jeff.
Okay, so but last but not least, obviously Jack represents, he's a partner for EY Integrity and Forensic Services. I'd like to thank EY today, not just because they sponsor. Over the years, EY, since 2014, has helped me shape this particular program. They have provided me not just a EY team, Jack team, Manhim, Karen, Jim, all of very, very senior and experienced investigator helped me put together programs and also topic research. And they even share some of the war story and cases that shape Sea Integrity program for today. So we're going to kickstart now, and do you want to play the video now?
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Yes, I'm going to show you a video, very short video, 2 minutes of it. Supporting Jeff, yes, that's great as well. We wanted to create the mindset of integrity and culture, right? So I thought to kick it off, we sponsored a film with The Economist. So we thought to just share a couple of minutes of it. It's part of the Economist, the Disruptors series. It talks about how corruption's actually impacting people's lives, and also other than just an amount of dollars. So I thought at least to give you a couple of minutes of why what we're talking about is so important and how that is impacting our society, and hopefully just intro you to it. So it's actually a much longer video from The Economist. There's a link. I'll share that with you, but just to get you started. Jeff, please.
All right, can we give a warm welcome to Jack first, okay?
Corrosive. Catastrophic.
People feel these now
and often covert. Corruption costs the world nearly $3 trillion every year, blights the lives of hundreds of millions. But in some parts of the world, there's a renewed drive to disrupt corruption.
We need to act with urgency and purpose to restore our state-owned enterprises.
From bold moves at the top,
we've got to make sure that there's strong, committed, ethical leadership.
To new technologies shining a light on the problem.
Now in Ukraine, we have the most transparent corruption in the world.
Communities, companies and countries are learning lessons in how to root out corruption.
Our country changed to one of the obvious technological leaders.
Hold the guilty to account.
This was one of the largest cases the SFO had worked on.
And challenge the culture that allows it to continue.
Do we accept the way it is, or do you stand up for something?
This is a notoriously violent and lawless district of Cape Town in South Africa. Here in Cape Flats, there were almost 1,000 murders in the first 6 months of 2019. And police corruption is helping to fuel this violence.
Thanks, Jeff. I know technology can be. I think we can just go to slides. Yeah, it's all good. So this is part of the film. It's about 25 minutes long. It talks about the impacts of corruption on people and how some of the disruptors are actually doing something about it. It talks about a mother whose son was murdered, and then the corrupted police is just not doing their jobs in South Africa. And then it talked about how governments were being corrupted, and then how technology, systems, people are changing the status quo. And then it even talks about machine learning and AI, to how the enforcement teams are using machine learning and AI to handle these investigation cases and brought people to justice and company to justice. So I thought it's quite a good film, and at least it puts us into that mindset and make us think about why what we're doing is so important. I know sometimes we can get into the details of every day and just executing work, but I try to think through what we do matters. So anyway, so Jeff, if you could help me move the slides. I wonder if this slide deck works. Okay, it's not quite. Okay, sure. Here you go. Is it? No, not quite. Nope, not quite. So, okay. Maybe if you could just help me slides. Let's try it. Yeah. Okay. All right. So the slide is actually giving you two links. The first link is to the film, and then if you're really interested, then there are also the integrity agenda, what we do, and also there's other films that are related as well. So it's part of the series. So it's quite interesting, and definitely you can look into it. And there's also a YouTube link just in case. If you don't want to go through all the other videos, there's the YouTube link that you can have a look at as well. I thought it's quite impactful, and I know internally within EY we try to share that with our people as well, just to make them think about what they do matters, and especially the younger generations nowadays, they really want to have a purpose on what they do. So this is quite good, we thought. Is it the right link? Okay, thank you. Right, so I thought every 2 years we do a global survey to just get a pulse sense of how our clients, whether it's outward management, middle management, or just general employees, and what they think and what's going on. So we do, it's an independent survey. We get about 3,000, almost 3,000 respondents. And then what we find is that also we have 33, it's 33 countries and territories. So it's quite a global survey. This year has been impacted quite a lot by COVID, right? So what we thought was quite interesting that's unique to this year's survey was to do get a sense before COVID. So we did the survey around January, February, that before the whole world was impacted by it. And then afterwards, we did it again, just probably around April, May timeframe, just to get a sense of if there's any difference between pre-COVID and during the COVID. So that's we thought is quite unique. So I thought with that, I will share some insights that we had. And feel free to ask me questions if you guys want to, and then we can go from there. I think online, can they ask questions through WeChat? No, yeah, oh, sorry, through chat? Okay, sure. All right, so I think what struck me the most from the survey is 90%, almost 9 out of 10 people think that this COVID will impact how people behave. I think at the opening, we did talk about that a little bit, right? So people are under pressure to maybe look at the numbers. Maybe the way they work could be quite different. They're working from home more now, so perhaps there's more opportunity to do something. Just from my own experience over the last few months, I certainly see a lot more pressure for clients, and some of the employees of clients are actually, either whistleblower incidents coming up, or we're getting a lot more calls in terms of, say, can they improve their programs? Can they detect more on these behaviors? So, and also on the cyber side, we get a lot more activities now. I would say 30% more incidents are now coming up on our radar during COVID. So especially now, we even are doing cyber audits as part of our financial statement audit. If say there was cyber breach, we want to see if the cyber breach had a financial impact as well to the audit. So that's quite new. So we think this COVID phenomenon, we're certainly getting a lot more activities now. So during this COVID time. So I think that's a very insightful key finding. All right, thank you. Can we go to the next slide, if you can? Oh, it should be working. Yes, I was hoping that we could go to the, there's some China insights as well. So this is a global insights. So we thought it would be good to share with you how China is a bit different from the global survey result as well. Territory, so includes Hong Kong, okay? So just to share that with you in the context. So we did 100 surveys, January, February, and then we did the same 100 again around April, just to see if there's any difference, right? So this is truly trying to see the impact of COVID at the time. So 81%, right, said the standards of integrity in their organizations have gotten better compared to 2 years, over the last 2 years, right? So that's good news, right? So something is working, right? In terms of awareness, probably through these type of conferences, your attendance, and how you are driving compliance. I think that's good news. And compared to 50% for Asia Pac region. So actually China is ahead of the pack compared to the rest of the region. So that's good, right? And then 51% said that ethical business conduct will stay the same as a result of COVID. So the way I look at it is that tells me 49% thinks it's going to be different, right? So half says not going to have an impact. COVID is not going to have impact on ethical behavior, but the other half does. So that's China. But if you think about my previous slide, it's 90%, right? So 9 out of 10 thinks that's going to change, to have some ethical business impact from COVID. That's global, but in China it's only half. So that's good, right? At least from that perspective. So I thought to show you how a bit of the global and local impact is different. So I think just that's the survey results. Just from my own experience, from my China experience, we are seeing more compliance programs, awareness trainings because most of us have to work from home, or China had a COVID lockdown as well in some parts, right? So we noticed that there are a lot more training through the webinars, recordings, and then the online trainings that you have to actually click through and walk through the case studies. So people are much more aware, and they actually do tests. So I thought that's good. It's just that for those but that means if we go down the COVID line, that from a four triangle perspective, the opportunities are still there, the pressure is still there to do the unethical behavior. So we're still seeing a number of cases coming through. So the incidence hasn't come down. In fact, the last couple of months, I would say our workload utilization, if we use that as a measurement of our work colleagues, in fact, that's over, I would say last 2 months, especially in China, we're like 90% to 110% at that range. So people are working full time. In fact, we're hiring more and more people trying to catch up. So that trend is coming and not stopping. So definitely just share a bit of China insight with you. Okay, please, next slide, Jeff, thank you. I mean, you can go to our online and have a look at the survey results and so on, but I think there are 3 action items I thought to share with you, and I'll try to share with you some stories that go with the key action items from the survey results. So number 1 is integrity agenda, right? So corporate integrity protects unethical business behavior. So actually, probably you can't read it very well, but you know, one third, almost one third, so 30% of the people are prepared to do unethical behavior. So even during the survey, if you read through that, 30%, 3 out of 10 people admitted that they're going to do something dodgy or unethical because of pressure. So that's pretty, to us, that's very high actually, because they're admitting that they will do something, right? So under pressure. So I looked at some of the cases that we dealt with recently, and like I dealt with a case on a bank recently. I just share with you. The relationship manager has been with the bank for probably 30 odd years, really long time. She knows the client, the customer, the bank customers very well, right? Relationship managers, their job to know the customers very well. But I'm just trying to think through the mindset of this relationship manager. So this relationship manager stole millions from this customer of the bank, okay? So that was the alleged. So we're doing investigations on that. And what we realized is that the customers build a lot of trust with the customer and the relationship manager have a lot of trust with each other. And that's usually where the opportunity comes in for the relationship manager to do something. So the relationship manager fake signed the customer's bank withdrawal slips, took the cash out. And the customer is a really old customer, over 65 years old, doesn't know online banking, anything like that. So the relationship manager was able to fake sign everything and cash withdrew And then because the old customer is so trusting the relationship manager that the bank statements generated by the relationship manager is all fake as well. So the old customer just took the bank statement as granted, even though it's not the real bank statement. So at that time, I think about that, and then, okay, so say the customer trusted the relationship manager so well. How about the bank employees themselves? What do they think of what's going on? Other people who think of the relationship manager, because when we saw the CCTV, the relationship manager was just going up to the counter without the customer at all, and just presented the withdrawal slip, and the bank teller just gave the cash to the relationship manager. So there's a element of trust there as well, right? So if you think through that process, the bank teller trusts the relationship manager, the customer trusts the relationship manager, and then all the controls were just bypassed. So in that case, we started to think, okay, that means that the bank may need to think about the integrity, I mean, the awareness of what's going on. The controls are important, and would they allow this type of behavior to happen? So, but then the employees, they know each other for, you know, a long time, 30, 40 years. So we just think that even though you have that level of trust, we need to have controls in place. We need to have compliance programs. We need to have this awareness going on, so to stop this kind of fraud happening. And at the end of the day, the customer lost money, and then the bank's reputation is on the line. So it's impacting a lot. So I think that the integrity agenda, the awareness is really, really key. And then the second part is the third party. It's like, okay, so we do a lot of good stuff within our own organizations. What do we think of the third parties? Are they having the same level of standards? So we are starting to see doing a lot of audits on third parties, or even having surveys, questionnaires on companies' third parties to make sure they comply. I mean, even EY, we're a third party as well. So we get surveyed and questionnaire. We have site visits come to our data centers to have a look as well. So I think that's definitely another point that we need to be aware of. Then lastly is the data. So I personally focus a lot on forensic data analytics, right? So we use the data for a lot for investigations, proactive prevention, so on. A lot of times we need to think about consent from customers. We need to think about cross-border issues, like where the data can transfer outside of the region, as each country started to have their data wars. So where you store the data is very, very critical. So we're doing a lot of work around that, making sure that the data stays where they are, if we can, and try to build for the future for that. So yeah, so definitely that's coming up. And then the cyber hacks, we're looking at the dark web to see if there are any data available that can be sold from our clients. So just to make them aware, so to prevent the impact of that. And then also financial statement cyber risks are also on the rise. So I think we're almost good, right? So any 5 more minutes? Yep. So I think, yeah, so these are the three key action items. If I could end my presentation, these 3 points, I try to emphasize to all the clients that I work with and I know. So definitely every point, I think that there's a story behind on the work that I do right now. So yeah, just to share thoughts to share with you, I suppose. Any questions so far, or any points that you wanted to ask?
Questions, ladies and gentlemen, on the floor?
Nope, all good.
Questions? Right. I have a question.
Okay, Jeff always has a question.
Stan always has some questions.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Has it made it difficult during COVID, if you have to carry out investigation, in particularly on, like data analytic, forensic, and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I'll share a story. Yeah, I've been asked that before. I would say one of the very live cases that I have to deal right now is I have to review contracts. There are about 10 contracts that I had to look at from 10 customers that we think are suspicious. Because of COVID, most of us had to work from home. Normally what we do in forensics is we would review the original contracts, make sure they're signed properly and so on. But what happened is because of COVID, the client has all sorts of excuses not to share the original with us because they couldn't access it. So what we had to do is look at the scanned copies, all right? Now I would say, even though you get the scanned copies, what we realized, because we do a lot more work on scanned copies now, we are very much focused on the metadata on the scanned copies nowadays. The metadata, what I mean by that is, think about the create date and times of the scan, what software was used for the scan, and in fact, one of the contracts that we found was the content of the portion of the certain pages of the contract were actually scanned at different times to the other pages. I'm not talking about a minute or two, I'm talking about a month apart. Okay, so that tells me that someone is trying to put the contract together and modify certain parts of it. In fact, what we realized is that when we look at the fonts very closely, there are software out there that could produce the fonts that look like the scanned copy of the contract. So this is the kind of criminal activities that we're seeing now. And then there are software out there they're very good now at doing. We think about Photoshop, but this is even the font now we see is they can imitate it so that it's the same font. We even saw a case where they try to image, because they're trying to do the scan look like it's actually a photocopy. So they actually use software to make the certain parts of the contracts more fuzzy compared to other contracts. So it doesn't look like it's pure all scanned properly. So it looks like it's a photocopy scan, but actually it's a fake document. All right, just share that with you. So we are much more focused now on how you do the scanning, and then again we emphasize we want to get the original contract still. Okay, don't give that up. And I must say, I'm still looking for that original contract of that at the moment. Clients still having a lot of excuses right now. So.
Okay, so it's been difficult as such.
Yes.
Last but not least, in relations to, so hang on a second. Yeah, you have 2 minutes. I'm going to basically continue to ask that. Apart from this difficulty, are you seeing client making more inquiries because of to investigate third party, to investigate corruptions or whistleblower cases, etc., and that sort of thing during this time?
Okay, okay. Just a reflection. During the height of the Hong Kong COVID activities and the cases coming up, we have two teams, right? So we have a team that's very focused on data, technology, AI, machine learning. Then we have a team that does a lot of the physical investigations, interviews, and so on. So the team who does all the physical interviews, basically, and the courts, they shut down really. So they had to review policy procedures a lot more, scanned copies, right? So no interviews. So that team slowed down quite a bit. On the other hand, the data team, who has to handle the technology side of it, they work double time, OT nonstop, really, because clients now wanted a lot more focus on technology. So they want to build programs, AI, machine learning. Can they rely less on humans? Can they rely on machines? So we, during the COVID time, we actually had 2 projects that started, accelerated actually, because they wanted to use machine learning, AI, to prevent fraud. in the video, Economist film, that talks about the enforcement team for the first time use AI machine learning a few years ago to look at, instead of keyword searches, to look at e-discovery emails and documents because the volume's too high. But I would say the AI machine learning, the adoption rate is a lot faster now. I think COVID accelerated that. So in fact, we are using the downtime during the COVID for the non-IT technology team to get them involved, to train the machines a lot more. So that's what we've been doing. We're trying to, so we got the human side of the teams to think of the patterns, and then we get the data team to draft the scripts of the patterns, what it should be, and then we implement those machine learning programs and to make it happen. Yeah.
All right. Any questions from the floor before we end this particular session? Or this is too long that nobody has attended a live event, so no asking that. Okay, no problem. Thank you so much, Jack.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.